Alrighty, yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitz TV here, aka GLauren33. I am back here with the Legit Shoot podcast, here with your Monday Night Raw review and results for June 8th, 2020. Hope everybody is staying safe and healthy. Thank you guys for joining me here tonight on the podcast. No matter if you guys are listening on YouTube or watching the live stream, if you guys are watching this via playback on demand, or if you guys are watching digitally or listening on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other one of those podcast platforms. Thank you guys for joining me here tonight. And we are in Backlash week. It is the go-home week for Backlash, and I will be covering, like I always do, every single day this week. I most likely will be doing a Backlash preview and predictions video. I'm thinking about maybe Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how things goes with my schedule and all that. As preview and predictions here on Wednesday and Thursday, and we'll have the Backlash review right here after the pay-per-view Sunday night here on the Legit Shoot podcast. So hopefully you guys can join me for everything we have on the channel this week. If you guys didn't check out my NXT TAKEOVER in your house review, that review is live on the channel. There was a funny moment in it where I fell asleep near the beginning of it, so if you guys want to laugh a little bit, it's live on the channel. I won't fall asleep in this review, promises, man. I got my energy, got my water, we're all good to go. So you guys, and a lot of people are asking my thoughts tonight on Monday Night Raw. The two big things that were promoted for Monday Night Raw tonight was another match between Asuka and Charlotte Flair, coming just 24 hours after. I see a bug on my laptop. Had to kill that real quick. Ugh, threw that in the trash. Anyway, Asuka versus Charlotte Flair again. We just had this match last week on Raw, and I do have problems with us getting this match just a week after we already saw it. And WWE creative, man, I'm really fed up with the Charlotte Flair booking. Like, for real, it really pisses me off and it annoys me. If you guys saw me ranting on Twitter tonight, yeah, you guys know what's coming. I'm probably going to rant a lot on Charlotte Flair tonight because I've had enough of her. I really do. Most overpushed female superstar in history, but we'll get into that in a little bit. We also had Sasha Banks and Bayley, the new women's tag team champions, coming off their win last Friday on SmackDown against Bliss and Cross, appearing on Monday Night Raw tonight. And it was also announced earlier today, I'm not surprised at all, that at Backlash, Sasha and Bayley will have their first defense in their second reign as tag team champions against Bliss and Cross and the Iconics. So we'll be talking about that. Those were the two big things that were promoted on Raw tonight. We also had the continuation of the feud between Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins. We also had the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders in I think it was a triathlon. We also had a new number one contender determined for Apollo Crews' United States Championship. So those are the big things that happened on Raw tonight. We'll be discussing all that and more right here on the podcast. As always, guys, make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Also, follow me on social media. The links are in the description down below. For those listening, GLauren33 on Twitter, GLORIN 33 as always, so you guys want to discuss wrestling and other things. Emily, I see you in the chat. Good to see you. Hope you are doing well. So I don't want to waste any time. I want to get straight into the Raw review, so let's get it. So basically, the show started off with Asuka, and looked like we were going to get Asuka versus Charlotte Flair to start off the show. And like I said, we'll be talking about Charlotte in just a second because she pisses me off. But as Asuka came out and she started to talk, we got interrupted with the best female wrestler in the world, Sasha Banks. Sasha, it was so good to see her make her entrance with a championship. Even though I want Sasha to become SmackDown Women's Champion, which will hopefully happen later this summer, it was just good to see her this with a championship with her once again, because it's a rare sight these days in WWE to see Sasha Banks with a championship belt. But Sasha came out, then Bayley. Now, being a double champion, it's just going to be double the annoying. All right, we all know Bayley's already, annoying enough as with one belt. Now that she has two belts, she just goes on and on and on. And I don't mind it, because Bayley has really settled into that new role being a heel, and she's doing a really good job of it right now. And, Sasha Banks, just seeing Sasha Banks and Asuka, they had a brief stare down here. Like, how many times have we seen Asuka versus Charlotte Flair and Asuka versus Becky Lynch? We've seen Asuka versus Bayley, in NXT, but we've never seen enough of Sasha versus Asuka. I really hope, one thing that I hope is potentially maybe at Survivor Series later this year, we can maybe get Asuka versus Sasha, SmackDown versus Raw Women's Champion. I don't know if Asuka will be champion at that time, especially after the nonsense that we saw tonight, but still, man, a man could dream. Like, hopefully one day we can get a real Sasha versus Asuka feud, because you can see how good the matches Asuka and Becky and Asuka and Charlotte have had. Imagine a championship feud between Asuka and Sasha came out, and this really pissed me off. Yes, I understand Charlotte versus Asuka, that was supposed to open the show here, but honestly, one night, and I don't know if this was filmed today or last week, because one thing that I did notice when Sasha and Bayley came out, they still had Nikki Cross and Alexis Bliss's side plates still on the women's tag team champions. You can see the pink Alexa Bliss logo, which I hate. And then later in the show, near the main event, when we had Charlotte versus Asuka happen, Sasha and Bayley came out because they joined the commentary table, and they had their normal side plates. Sasha and Bayley had the red side plates on. So I don't know if they just changed those during the show, or if this was filmed on different dates, but. And High Life, I see you in the chat. High Life says, I feel like I just put in a 3-hour work shift watching this show. I gotta agree with you, bro, man. The 3 hours go by very, very slowly. I didn't think Raw was bad tonight. I'm not gonna say it was good. I thought it was an okay show. Yes, it could have been better, but I thought overall the show was okay. But basically, Charlotte Flair comes out one night. This is the stuff that pisses me off. One night after losing the NXT Women's title at TakeOver in Your House to Io Shirai, they throw Charlotte right back into the Raw Women's Championship picture. She's already put right back into it. And they made this even worse later on in the show. And they then, in a commercial during the show, they said, oh, what Charlotte Flair is going to do now that she's no longer NXT Women's Champion. Clearly, they're going to do another match between Io Shirai and Charlotte, because Charlotte technically was never pinned for that NXT Women's Championship. And I'm going to explain to you guys in a little bit how Charlotte Flair should be booked going forward, because enough is enough. She is the most overbooked, overpushed female superstar in all of WWE. I don't give a damn what anybody says. But basically, she told Sasha and Bayley that they were garbage. That said, it doesn't matter how many belts you hold, Bayley, or how many championships you win, Sasha, you are still going to be garbage. Charlotte is one to be talking. All right, there's some freaking idiots on Twitter that say Charlotte's the best female superstar of this generation. She's such a good performer. She elevates the women's division. What division does Charlotte actually elevate? She has the audacity to go to Sasha and the Bayley and call them garbage. All right, let's go through every single one of Charlotte's 12 title reigns in WWE, because I think I can remember most of them. Right, her NXT ones. When she beat Rhea Ripley, or when she defeated Paige. Her Raw Women's Championship, even though her matches with Sasha were great, all of those reigns were garbage. Her SmackDown Women's Championship reigns, no matter if it was beating Asuka, which should have never happened, or beating Carmella, all those reigns were garbage. Even the 5-day reign when she beat Bayley, garbage. It's terrible. Not one. You can't name me not one of Charlotte's 12 championship reigns that was actually important, or iconic, or memorable, or something that we'll remember 20 or 30 years from now. 20 or 30 years from now, yes, we will remember Charlotte for being a 30-time women's champion. Even though none of those reigns were special, because she's the most overbooked, overpushed female superstar in WWE history. She has the audacity to come up to Sasha and Bayley and say their reign is garbage. Bayley's one reign, all right? This reign that Bayley's currently on, when she's been SmackDown Women's Champion for nearly a year, this reign that Bayley's currently on is better than all of Charlotte's 12 title reigns combined, all right? Before Charlotte says anything about Sasha Banks and Bayley being garbage, she needs to look in the mirror. Because her whole gimmick is her being a champion and losing it 2 months later. She's garbage, and she's overbooked, and she's trash. The amount of hypocritical garbage that comes out of Charlotte's mouth it's astonishing to me. It really is. My goodness. So then the Iconics came out. I knew this was gonna happen. So the Iconics came out. They mocked everyone. They were like, "Hi, Asuka. Hi, Charlotte." They also went up to Sasha. I knew they were gonna say this. They say, "Sasha, Bayley, we're gonna defeat you at Backlash for the Women's Tag Team Championships." All right. They also brought up how they beat Sasha Banks and Bayley at WrestleMania 35, and they went on to have the worst tag team title reign in WWE history. They defended the championships against jobbers. Like I say, almost every single podcast. The second you took those titles off of Sasha Banks and Bayley at WrestleMania 35 last year was the second those championships became irrelevant. The best thing for those women's tag team championships right now are being on Sasha Banks and Bayley. Because Sasha Banks and Bayley are two stars. The 4 horsewomen plus Asuka. I don't know where the hell Bianca Belair or Shayna Baszler or Kairi Sane is. I don't know, Liv Morgan. I don't know. It's like half the Raw Women's Division has been missing the last month. But those titles being on Sasha Banks and Bayley are the best thing for those titles. One, because Bliss and Cross or the Iconics, none of those teams would do anything with those titles. They're just irrelevant. They're just props. Plus, it's going to be used to further the storyline between Sasha Banks and Bayley, which is going to probably be the best feud in all of WWE all year. All right? Charlotte is terrible. Terrible. All right? And I see Sleeping Angels and Charlotte is great. And Emily having a conversation. This happens every single week. Like I said, guys, there's going to be a lot of Charlotte ranting on this show tonight. Because she is awful. She really is. And you guys need to get this through your heads. The most overpushed superstar in WWE history. So, basically, a brawl broke out between the women. There was a stupid moment where it looked like Sasha Banks and Bayley were attacking Charlotte in the corner, and Charlotte's not even selling the punches. She's too busy trying to get her robe off. So yeah, great job, Charlotte. There, great job. You're so good at what you do. You couldn't wait till we go to commercial to take your robe off. It looked so stupid. So then we come back from break, and then we find out that a triple threat tag team match is announced. All right. And this was not actually bad. The NXT crowd was into it. I still think those poor NXT crowd members need chairs. I hate that they have to stand out there for 7-8 hours a day while they film Raw, they film SmackDown, they film Main Event and Superstars and all these other shows. And they have no freaking seats. Especially when it comes to the main roster shows, which most of the time is pure garbage. Pure garbage. Even though Raw tonight was semi-decent in my eyes, it wasn't as bad as it usually is. I feel bad for that NXT talent. The fact that they got no seats. No seats. And I also mentioned this earlier this week. Shout out to Nikki Cross. She actually bought pizza for all the NXT talent after all the tapings were done. A really class move by a really good person, Nikki Cross. But we come back, we get a triple threat tag team match. And like I said, this is the kind of stuff that Sasha Banks and Bayley do. They're stars. By having the women's tag team championships on them, they make everything better. Would you guys have wanted to see a Charlotte Flair and Asuka team up against the Iconics? No. Sasha Banks and Bayley being in that match made this match so much more better. Because one, Charlotte made this whole segment, worse. I didn't mind anything that happened here. I didn't even mind the Iconics being out there. The Charlotte Flair being out there, being her hypocritical self, You know, this ruins everything for me because I just don't like Charlotte at all. I hate the way she's booked and pushed down our throats. But anyway, getting to the match, Sasha was wearing the her Night of Champions gear from last year against Becky Lynch. One of my favorite ring gears of Sasha's. I love it. It has those like Patriots, Red Sox colors. So Sasha Banks and Peyton Royce had a really good like 30-second sequence there where they were trading roll-ups and pin combinations. I really like it. And I've said this before. Peyton Royce is the much better member of the Iconics. Billie Kay is absolute garbage. Like, I have no idea how she ever made it through NXT. All right, I don't remember that, Billie Kay being this bad when she was in NXT, but she is terrible. Peyton Royce is actually semi-decent, and I like the way, I like the way she looked in this 30-second sequence. It made me actually want a Sasha Banks and Peyton Royce match. I liked it. And then I see you guys in the chat. Charlotte is great says I can't stop Sasha Banks. She's overrated. Don't get me started, please. Don't get me started. Charlotte is trash. All right, Charlotte is legit trash. Do not get me started in the chat, guys. Do not. All right, and for those listening on Spotify or Google Podcasts or wherever you guys are listening to this, this is the reason why you guys want to be watching the live streams on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, because you guys won't get this interaction on any other podcast. I actually, talk to you guys during the podcast. All right, but no Sasha bashing in the chat, please. This is a pro Sasha Banks channel. All right, Charlotte is trash. I don't care. We can bash Charlotte all we want, but please don't bash Sasha Banks. You're gonna get me pissed off. All right. Anyway, we get back into the match. Sasha Banks and Peyton Royce had a beautiful sequence there. And then basically the second part, or the second half of this match, was Charlotte and Asuka tagging each other in like every 10 seconds, trying to, one up each other. So it didn't really have, the best teamwork. It was a little bit cringy, but I didn't mind. There was also like a 10 or 15 second interaction between Sasha Banks and Asuka. This was great. Sasha and Asuka, even though they don't wrestle each other often, they're so good. They have that instant chemistry. I really want a Sasha Banks and Asuka feud sometime in the future. Sometime, all right? It would be absolutely amazing. But near the end of the match, Charlotte and Asuka are showing off to each other. I love this. Sasha Banks and Bayley are on the outside of the ring. They're on the outside of the ring, and they just didn't give a shit. They grabbed their belts. They didn't even care about losing this match. They didn't. It was like, whatever. We'll save the dub for Backlash. Us losing this match tonight does nothing. It was a triple threat. They didn't even get pinned. I believe Asuka made Billie Kay tap out with the Asuka lock, and then afterwards, we see Sasha Banks and Bayley. They go up the ramp. They have their titles. They just didn't care, and I don't really care because I don't give a shit about Charlotte. She sucks. All right. So then afterwards, this pisses me off. Charlotte lays out Asuka with a diving axe handle, and this is where I got really mad. This is where I got really angry. Charlotte grabs the Raw Women's Championship and she holds it off in the air. I posted a picture of this on Twitter from WWE's Instagram. This got me really angry. The reason why is, how many times do we have to see this? We'll have Charlotte Flair having a championship around her waist, no matter if it's the NXT, the Raw, or SmackDown Women's Championships. It's the same image. She always has that same pose with her holding the championship up with one hand, and her looking at the sky. It's the same ridiculous pose, and it makes me sick. It's so bad. It's so bad. Why do we always have to go through this with Charlotte? Why? 12 reigns? None of those reigns are special. WWE just keeps giving her reigns on reigns on reigns on reigns on reigns. For what? She doesn't, elevate anybody. Yes, she puts on decent matches, if every once in a while, if it's a Sasha Banks or a Becky or an Asuka or a Rhea Ripley, she puts on a really good match. But at the end of the day, she's not elevating anybody. She's not doing anything for the women's division. She's just burying them for her own personal gain. She just lost the NXT Women's Championship last night. During this match, we see a commercial of how Charlotte's going to be on NXT this Wednesday to confront Io Shirai. But instead, we have Charlotte Flair holding up Asuka's Raw Women's Championship when she just lost her own championship last night at TakeOver in your house. Does anybody not see the problem with this? It's the same issue when you have Charlotte Flair in a number one contenders match for the Raw Women's Championship last week in that triple threat. Remember that triple threat we had with Nia Jax, Natalya, and Charlotte, and how garbage that was? Charlotte Flair was the NXT Women's Championship, and yet she was going after another title. Tell me, how does that elevate the women's division? How does that elevate her championship? It doesn't. I don't care if Charlotte's a member of Monday Night Raw. Every time you have Charlotte Flair go after a title, it does no good for anybody. It doesn't. She's not even a Raw Women's Championship. Raw Women's Champion. She's not even in the match. Like, what? And I'm looking in the chat. I see Wrestling Mixtape. I see Ron Prasad. I don't know if you guys are new subscribers, but you guys got to get used to something here. Here on this podcast, I talk and I rant about whatever I want for as long as I want. Don't tell me when to move on. What the hell is wrong with you people? All right? This is the truth. If you want to be a fucking casual and you want to sit there and enjoy this garbage, then that's your problem. You're the reason why the product is a mess most of the time. All right? But if I want to sit here and rant about Charlotte for an hour, you have the free will to leave. You don't have to be here. Like, what? Like, I don't know what's with the chat tonight. Some of you guys are acting, as dumb as Charlotte. It makes zero sense. It hurts Asuka. It doesn't elevate the Raw Women's Championship. I don't see the problem with this. And yet you casuals want to just accept it. You guys just accept it. Really. You guys don't see any problem with this. I said this on Twitter. Charlotte Flair is the most selfish female superstar in the history of this company. She is worse than Roman Reigns. Worse. I used to always rant about Roman Reigns. Charlotte is worse than that. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Hulk Hogan. I didn't live in the times of Hulk Hogan, but I've seen the documentaries, I've read the articles, I've heard what superstars said about him. Charlotte Flair is the Hulk Hogan of the WWE Women's Division. She's just like her father, Ric Flair. She only elevates herself. She doesn't elevate the people around her. It makes no sense. Where's Bianca Belair? Where's Liv Morgan? Where's Shayna Baszler? Where's these people that are actually supposed to lift off this Raw Women's Division? I said when Becky Lynch left, when Becky Lynch announced her pregnancy a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Raw, about a month ago, after Money in the Bank, I said, use this time to elevate the women's division. Use this time to actually look for new superstars. So now when Becky Lynch comes back, we can actually say, hey, Becky Lynch is going to go up against Liv Morgan, who is now on Becky's level. Because WWE used the time that Becky was away to make her into a star. Same thing about Shayna Baszler. Same thing about a Ruby Riott. And Ember Moon. I can go on and on and on. But no. Instead of elevating other superstars, those stars are not even on the show. But yet we have to deal with Charlotte 3 times a week. Does no one see a problem with that? It's the same stupid formula. She lost the NXT Women's title last night, and she's right back in the Raw Women's division. Who do you think is going to take that title off Asuka, guys? Who? It's not going to be Nia Jax. It's not going to be Shayna Baszler. It's not even going to be Bianca Belair, who I believe should be the one to take the title off of Asuka. It's going to be Charlotte. It's going to happen. What's going to happen? Charlotte's going to lose to Io Shirai whenever they have their rematch, and then what they're going to do? They're going to feed Asuka to Charlotte again. And Charlotte's going to be the 13th-time women's champion going into SummerSlam. If not, if the match happens at SummerSlam. Like what? What? Like nobody understand that. But you casuals are gonna say, oh no. It's this Charlotte Flair being a champion is good for the women's division. Shut the hell up. Please, shut the hell up. Because you are an idiot. You really are. You really are. And then to make matters worse, later in the show, we get a interview with Charlotte Flair, right backstage with Charlie Caruso. Right, I love Charlie, even though WWE makes her look stupid sometimes, having her come out and say the best wrestling match ever at Backlash as Randy Orton, which we'll get into a little bit later. But they have Charlie Caruso interview Charlotte Flair. What does Charlotte say? I did my job. I elevated the NXT Women's Division. Huh? Charlotte Flair elevated the NXT Women's Division? Bitch, where? In what universe does Charlotte elevate the NXT Women's Division? What? She halted all of Rhea Ripley's momentum. Rhea Ripley spent the last half of 2019 gaining all of that momentum. She was becoming a big star just for Rhea Ripley to get buried to Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Then the Io Shirai should have pinned Charlotte Flair last night at TakeOver in Your House. I don't care if WWE wants to use that lame ass excuse. Oh, they did that to continue the feud with Charlotte and Io Shirai. They would have continued the feud with Charlotte anyway. Who did she elevate in that women's division in the 2 months she was NXT Women's Champion? I said this on the In Your House review last night. I went through every single NXT Women's Champion. I told you why they had a great reign. Charlotte Flair had the worst NXT Women's Championship reign of all time. Before Charlotte defeated Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, I said that the NXT Women's Championship was the best booked title in the entire women's division. Counting Raw, counting SmackDown, counting NXT UK. It was the best booked championship in all of NXT. But yet you have the audacity to say you elevated the women's division. Bitch, please. You didn't elevate it, you devalued it. You brought the NXT Women's Division to a place it's never been. Come on. Let me look in the chat. President Tawai says, Charlotte might be the worst thing ever to happen in WWE. I won't argue with there, bro. Christopher Carter says, Sasha Banks should be a Raw or SmackDown Women's Champion back in 2016. They're in 2019, a long time ago. So how they stick with Charlotte Flair? Why? Because she's the golden child of Vince McMahon. And because she's a Flair. Bro. Don't forget that. Ron says, we get it, bro. I've watched wrestling for 25 years. I am not a fan of Charlotte Flair. Just would like to hear your options on other storylines. Heard to check you out for your wrestling knowledge. Don't worry, Ron. We'll get into all the other stuff. But the reason why I rant about Charlotte Flair is the women's division is my favorite part of WWE. It's my favorite part. And I hate that the women's division is not in a place where it should be because of people like Charlotte Flair taking opportunities from other superstars. And Ron, if you don't mind, let me know who hipped you to this channel and to this podcast. All right? But either way, I had to get that rant off my chest. I know I went on there for about 10 or 15 minutes. It's because you guys know I cannot stand Charlotte Flair. All right. Bernardo says Sasha Banks is the greatest women's wrestler. Like I always say, Sasha Banks is the best female wrestler in the world. But basically, and another thing that pissed me off, just last thing, even after this match, WWE is so uncreative. They had Charlotte and Asuka have this triple threat tag team match to start the show, and then announced that we will be getting the match a little bit later on in the main event. I don't care how good Charlotte and Asuka are. I don't care how good their chemistry is. Really? You're that uncreative that you're gonna make Asuka and Charlotte wrestle twice in the same night and give us the same match we just saw last week? Uncreative. Terrible decision. But I'll talk about Charlotte Flair and Asuka and their match a little bit later on. But I had the rant there about Charlotte. Just to get to the point, like I said, Charlotte Flair is the most overpushed, selfish female wrestler in the history of WWE. She doesn't elevate the women's division. She only elevates herself. All right. Anyway, we move on. we had a interview with Rey Mysterio. He was still at home. He was still wearing the eye patch. And he was asked if he was going to retire. And basically, we had Seth Rollins, the Messiah, join him at ringside. And I love this. I love that Seth Rollins actually came out and had a face-to-face camera interaction with Rey Mysterio. So Seth comes out. He takes Byron Saxton's spot on commentary as they interviewing Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio said that the doctor said he was still at a high risk for an additional infection, but he was recovering well from his injury. But he said that the doctors had no idea when he would be allowed back in the ring. Seth goes on to say that he was worried that Mysterio was spreading lies about the sacrifice he made for the sake of the cause. He said, he invited Rey Mysterio and his family to come to Monday Night Raw next week so that he could retire openly as a legend. I love this. Rey Mysterio said that, shut the hell up. When I do come back and when I do get my hands on you, I'm going to have a 619 with your name waiting on it at the beginning of the match. You know, I don't know. I didn't really like that line from Rey because I'm like, Rey, the guy tried to end your career. The dude the guy bashed your eye into steel steps. He could have blinded you permanently per storyline. So you're telling me that all you want to do is give him a 619 and that's it? You don't want to beat this guy to hell? I understand Rey Mysterio is the babyface and he's a good guy at the end of the day. But you're telling me you don't want to kill this guy? You know, get payback for what he did? Remember the Rey Mysterio that we got when Brock Lesnar attacked him back last fall? I want that Rey Mysterio. The guy that didn't give a shit about Brock Lesnar. You know, doing anything that he had to do to take him out to become WWE champion, even though he didn't succeed at the end. But I want Rey Mysterio to actually go off on Seth. Like, he tried to end your career, end what you love to do, hurt your family. Like, a 619 is not the only thing you actually want to do, Seth, Rey, right? Like, you want Seth to go through the same pain that he put you through. Come on, Rey. Let's be honest here. But, you know, then the segment ended when Aleister Black jumped out of nowhere. Like, this guy came out of nowhere, jumped over the announce table to attack Seth Rollins on commentary. Buddy Murphy and Austin Theory came out to make the save, but then we saw Humberto Carrillo come out, and then we get a tag team match with Humberto and Black going up against Murphy and Austin Theory. This was a good match. You know, the intensity was there, the high-flying action, and, you know, I didn't mind it. Aleister Black won the match for his team. And what was it? I think, yeah, it wasn't the black mask. They were on, Murphy was on the top rope. Murphy got hit with a devastating high knee from Black, which knocked him out and got the win. After the match, we see Seth Rollins come out, and I love this because Rey Mysterio's music plays on the intercom, and we're like, "What the hell?" And Rey Mysterio's at home. Was he lying or anything like that? Was he hiding backstage? But no, Seth comes out, and then he takes off the mask that Rey was wearing all those weeks ago, and I loved it. I really loved what they did here. And Rollins comes out, and Murphy, Theory, and Rollins, they attack Black and Humberto. Then Murphy hits Black with Murphy's Law, and then Rollins hits him with a curb stomp to end the segment. So this was done very well. Basically, I love the interaction we got with Rollins and Mysterio on during the like Zoom or webcam interaction, whatever you want to call it. So looks like Rey Mysterio will be returning next week. We've heard a lot of rumors that we could be getting like Dominic versus Seth Rollins or something like that. Like I said, I would love to see Dominic get involved. I read a report that Rey Mysterio, the reason why he's been at home so long is he's the one that's actually training Dominic for this match. Because since the pandemic, Dominic's not really able to get wrestling training at the performance center with his normal coaches, so that makes sense. So definitely whenever we get Dominic in the ring, I am excited for that. Like I said, this story, I said this last week on the podcast, there's a lot they could do here. There really is a lot they could do here. And Dominic, they could do stuff like maybe Dominic being forced to join Rollins's group of disciples. They could force Rey Mysterio to join the group of disciples. They could have Dominic turn against Mysterio, and then Rey having to fight to get his son back because of Rollins' influence. There's a lot of ways it could go. This could be a really special storyline. I feel like WWE has the material, because Rollins is, like I say this about Seth Rollins and Bayley all the time. When they first turned heel, I didn't know what to expect from it. From over time, over the months have passed by, both Rollins and Bayley have settled into these new character roles quite nicely. And I really think the material is there for Seth Rollins, Rey Mysterio, and this Dominic feud to go all the way into SummerSlam if WWE wants it. I kind of hope that we could get Seth Rollins versus Edge at SummerSlam. But, if they want to save that for maybe WrestleMania next year or something like that, they have everything lined up here for Seth, Mysterio, and Dominic to have this feud go over all the way into SummerSlam, since they're not having a match at Backlash. If they want, they could do something like Extreme Rules and have the payoff at SummerSlam. So we'll see where WWE goes, but a good segment here. Trying to look. All right, so we had the Peep Show. So Christian, we don't see Christian often on Raw. You mostly see Christian on WWE backstage. But I loved getting to see Christian on here, and him being Edge's best friend. It kind of made for a fitting way to end this whole thing, because we've heard over the last couple of weeks with Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle was on Raw tonight, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, all these legends giving their opinion about what's going to happen in the so-called greatest wrestling match ever between Randy Orton and Edge at Backlash. So Christian came out. I love his theme song. All right. In the darkness, light will take you to the other side. All right, enough of me singing. But before the Peep Show, we saw Charlie Caruso interview Randy Orton, and he basically promised to make an appearance on the talk show. He said, I heard rumors, don't tell anybody that I said this, that there's a high chance that there'll be 2 guests on the Peep Show instead of 1. So basically just clarifying that Orton was going to be on the Peep Show. I wish Orton was in the ring for this segment, but they had Orton show up on the Titantron, and I want to see if WWE has the clip on their YouTube page, because I want to play it, because I don't do this all the time, but definitely I wanted to play this one for you guys, because I really love this. Was probably the best thing on the show. Christian's intensity, and bringing those real life elements into this really made this segment for me. Oh, I just saw a video where Charlotte Flair said she can't be topped in the backstage interview. Don't make me throw up. Well, let me see. It has to be here. Please tell me it's here. Please tell me it's here. I see a clip of Randy Orton. Randy Orton vows to leave Edge. Okay. So it seems like they have Randy Orton's appearance on the Peep Show, but it looks like they haven't uploaded Christian's part, which is the part I really wanted. So I'll play Randy Orton's part. One guarantee for this match. Hopefully you guys can hear. You are going to try. I think that is absolutely pathetic. The expectations on this match. I am going to embarrass who is forced to be sent back home where he belongs with his wife, Beth, and his daughters, his beautiful little baby girls, Lyric and Ruby and Edge. All because of this Sunday at Backlash in the greatest ever. The redemption
of Edge is over.
I love that part. The redemption of Edge is over. And you guys know what I think about this. I've said it every week. The fact that WWE is marketing and advertising this as the best wrestling match ever is a complete joke. It's pathetic and it's cheap. It's cheap. Everybody that has common sense that's ever watched WWE knows that, you know, there's a 0.1% chance that this will be the best wrestling match ever. It has a chance to be a really good match. You know, it has a chance to be possibly the best match on Backlash. Maybe one of the best pay-per-view matches of the year. You know, I don't think it will be, because I don't know what to expect from Edge. I don't. The last man standing match at WrestleMania went way too long. It was 40 minutes. And it wasn't terrible, but it went way too long. Way too long. And yes, Edge looked very good at the Royal Rumble. But this is a wrestling match. This is his first singles one-on-one match, and we don't know what to expect. I don't expect this to be anywhere close to the best wrestling match of the year. I'll be happy if we get an okay to decent match at best. We'll have to wait and see. And the thing about it is, I found the Christian part of the segment, which I'm going to play right now because that's the part I really want to talk about. Because what Christian was absolutely amazing in this segment tonight.
I think you're running on fumes.
So I love this. He goes up by saying, I think you're running on fumes. Because let's be honest here. Edge is much older here.
The greatest wrestling match ever. I don't even think you could pull that off in your prime.
Let's be honest here. Edge has had some very good classics, against Mick Foley, against Triple H, against John Cena. I still remember John Cena versus Edge from that TLC match back in 2006 for the WWE Championship. Edge versus Undertaker from WrestleMania 24. Edge has had some really good matches, but I don't know if there is a match that comes to mind. Hey, Edge versus Christian versus the Hardy Boys. Those battles for the tag team titles back in the day. Those were great matches. Great matches. I just don't think, especially now, thinking back, there's not one Edge match that comes to mind that I think was one of the best matches of all time. He's had some really good matches, but but in his prime, he at the end of the day, yes, he could put on a really good performance, but I don't think he was ever like a Shawn Michaels or a Kurt Angle that could give you the best match ever any time they stepped into the ring. I just gotta be honest. I love the raw honesty by Christian here.
We're best friends, and we have to be brutally honest with each other here, right?
And I love Edge's reactions to all this.
Those are some high, lofty expectations. If you think for 1 second that you can live up to that, you're lying to yourself.
And the NXT crowd trying to cheer Edge on here.
And I don't think that you can handle the pressure. You know what? Why don't you just pump the brakes right now, okay? Have you ever thought what it's like to be in my shoes right now? Have you ever thought what I'm going through emotionally when I have...
I kind of wish Christian could get back into the ring.
...whistles for 9.5 years? And not only that, now it's being called the greatest wrestling match ever? Do you know what that feels like? It's the equivalent of being dropped at the bottom of Mount Everest, saying you got no crew, you got no gear, now climb it, just do it, go.
That's a really good analogy.
So tell me, if this Edge is a little bit different, if this Edge has some self-doubt, this isn't the same Edge that used to look you in the eye every night to give you confidence when you were so nervous you didn't know if you could go out there before every one of our tag team matches.
Wow. That was a fire line. That was fire.
If this this Edge has some self-doubt because he's about to face a guy in Randy Orton at Backlash who has been here for those 9.5 years and is firing on every cylinder.
I want to know whose idea this was to call the greatest wrestling match ever. Had to be Vince, because Vince is so out of touch.
How many cylinders I still have left under the hood? Excuses. That's what I'm...
And then they get up from their chairs.
Confidence in you. We think you can do this. We think you're as good now as you've ever been. We think you can win. We think you can have the greatest wrestling match ever.
I don't know about that.
Edge, Christian, I am begging.
I don't know about that. And there was also a point where Edge and Christian were talking, and then Christian brought up Edge's mom and how his mom was there for every single one of his title matches and his big matches, his big victories. And how she would still be there this Sunday. I don't know if they meant physically. She'll probably be watching on the WWE Network at home, whatever. But still, I really love the intensity that Christian brought to the segment. He brought the realism. He was basically telling Edge, like, let's be serious here. You're not gonna be able to get the job done. You're not gonna be able to put on the greatest wrestling match ever. I do. If you bring even back the old Edge, yes, you can get the job done. You can defeat Randy Orton. But let's be serious here. Christian, in his heart of hearts, yes, he's doing his job here with this segment. It's meant to pump Edge up, give him that hope that even in his older age, he can do this. But at the end of the day, we all know it's not going to be the best wrestling match ever. This match should not be taking place. The main reason for this match happening again is because people were disappointed with the last man standing match at WrestleMania. And even though it wasn't bad, it wasn't terrible, it was disappointing. And now, they're putting all this pressure on this match to hopefully make up for what happened at WrestleMania. And like I said, it could be a really good match. But there's zero chance in hell that this is going to be in the greatest wrestling match of all time. It won't be top 1, won't be top 5, won't be top 10, won't be top 20, top 50, top 100. It won't be anywhere near that. I gotta be honest. It has the chance to be the best match of the night at Backlash. Potentially, maybe the best match of the month. I think this is nowhere close to being reality, but who knows? Maybe it could be match of the year. I don't know. We won't find out till this Sunday. But calling this the best match ever, get the hell out of here with this nonsense. For real. It's just Vince McMahon being stupid at the end of the day like usual. But still, Randy Orton, Christian, Edge, they all did a great job. With this segment. I'm telling you, man, if this whole rivalry between Edge and Randy Orton was based on what's it called? If it was based off the promo work, this would probably be one of the best rivalries ever. But sadly, wrestling matches and wrestling feuds are not based just off the promo work. They're based off the story. They're based off the wrestling. They're based off the fan interaction and so many other layers. Calling Edge and Randy Orton the best wrestling match ever is an absolute ridiculous notion. It's ridiculous. And it doesn't make any sense. We'll have to wait and see what happens this Sunday. But if you're a casual and you actually believe this has a chance to be the greatest wrestling match ever, you're a fool. My boy Joe, longtime subscriber, Joe texted me. And he said, bro, did you see on SmackDown a couple of days ago, if you slowly fast forward through the part when Bayley and Sasha won, you can see that Bayley has an AEW shirt under her ring gear. So that means Sasha's going to turn her at Backlash. And then at SummerSlam, just like you say, Sasha versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title. So that means Bayley must be leaving once her contract with WWE is over. I love you, Joe, man, but I think that's kind of far-fetched. I don't think or Bayley, I don't think either one of them is leaving WWE anytime soon. All right, but hey, you never know. All right, but anyway, moving on. We had a decathlon between the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. We don't know why this has been happening. This has been happening because WWE has no division. No division. The divisions in all of WWE have been weak. The women's tag team division, even though Sasha and Bayley are now the champions, the women's tag team division has been weak for over a year now, ever since you took those titles off Sasha Banks and Bayley at WrestleMania 35. The Raw women's division has been trash. AOP is injured. You release Gallows and Anderson. So Gallows and Anderson are on Twitter, and they counting down to when they are able to, when their 90-day release clause from WWE expires, because then they actually can wrestle again. And it's been heavily rumored that the OC, Gallows and Anderson, are going to Impact Wrestling. And, like Zack Ryder might be going to AEW, etc., etc., etc. So, basically, the only two teams on Raw Women's division, I don't know where the hell Ricochet and Cedric Alexander were. There was a couple weeks back when this whole pandemic performance show started that it looked like Ricochet and Cedric Alexander were actually getting built up. But we haven't seen them in about a month now. I don't know. Maybe WWE's giving up on them. Maybe WWE just doesn't care. Maybe WWE, I would be surprised if Fitz legit forgot they're on the roster, right? But for about the last month now, we've been getting these events between the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. Anything you can do, we can do better. We've had basketball, we've had axe throwing, we've had golf, we had bowling. This week we had a decathlon. And I don't think it was announced yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get the Viking Raiders versus the Street Profits this Sunday at Backlash, because that would probably make the most sense. I don't know how much longer WWE's going to go with this whole thing, because it's WWE and they never make any sense. But I'm getting back into it. We had the decathlon happen, and basically the groups were evenly matched on all the events. The Viking Raiders would win an event, and then the Street Profits would win one. They went back and forth. The Street Profits won the 1600 meter dash, cup flipping, hurdles, dance competition, and shot put. Eric and Ivar won archery, sword fighting, stick fighting, turkey leg eating contest, and pole vaulting. So the events were basically both to the strengths of both teams. And of course, they had the little thing where Eric got called cute by one of the staff. And honestly, I don't mind them as much. Like I said this last week, if you had an actual tag team division, I wouldn't mind this. We're only getting this because WWE knows there is no division. There is no teams. This is why I've been saying now WWE should just merge the tag team divisions. Just merge them and make them one. It makes zero sense that you have only two teams fighting for one set of tag team titles on one brand, and on the other brand you have 2 or 3 teams fighting for tag team titles. It makes zero sense. On SmackDown, you have the New Day, the Forgotten Sons, Lucha House Party, and Miz and Morrison. That's about it. You have the Usos, you have AOP. Both of those 2 teams are injured. You release the OC, and there's only about 3 teams on Raw. It makes zero sense. Altogether, right now, you only have about 6 or 7 actual teams on the main roster. By fusing the divisions together, you can actually have a decent division. Actually have some competition. If you had an actual division, I wouldn't really mind this. But this is just WWE trying to, mop up the fact that you have no division. And yet WWE's solution to this is probably bringing up the Undisputed Era eventually. Because it's coming. Even though Adam Cole is still NXT champion, the second Adam Cole loses that title, him and the rest of the Undisputed Era are getting moved up because they have nothing else to do in NXT. They've done everything. They've legit done everything. And it's the same thing every week with these segments. Every week. So I don't mind them. I actually kind of a little bit funny and entertaining. But the thing about it is I'm smart enough to know what's actually going on behind the picture, behind the scenes. All right. And I feel like we all know that after all these events, the only way that we're actually going to reach a true resolution is these 2 teams wrestling in the ring. It's the only thing that makes sense at the end of the day. The only thing. I don't know if the match is happening at Backlash, but we'll just have to wait and see. All right. Next up, we had a number 1 contenders match for the United States Championship. Kevin Owens versus Andrade versus Angel Garza. This was actually a good match. This was really good, and I didn't mind that. You know, we had some really good in-ring action on the show tonight. All right, Apollo Crews came out and basically he said how he's so excited to defend the United States Championship. My boy Anthony just texted me. Hold on, we gotta text my boy Moose. But anyway, Apollo came out saying how he's so excited to defend the title at Backlash, and he introduced the competitors, but then he was interrupted by Garza and Andrade. And we all knew, if you ever seen a triple threat match, you guys know how this was done. You had two faction members, right? Garza and Andrade are in a faction with Zelina Vega. You knew how this was going to go, but before the match could even begin, Owens attacked both Andrade and Garza going into the break, getting payback because Garza did the same thing to him about 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. All right, basically, Garza and Andrade teamed up on Kevin Owens, but then the two broke out. You knew that was going to happen because eventually, if you take down Kevin Owens, it's just going to be you two left standing. And what you guys could just fight over who pins Kevin Owens? No. And I kind of like the attention that Garza and Andrade. It makes me want to see an Andrade versus Garza feud. And I've been saying, you know, I would not mind seeing Garza turn babyface because he could actually make it on his own. You know, I would not mind seeing Garza turn babyface and then feuding with Andrade at some point. But Zelina Vega tried to, you know, get the two back on the champagne, but you know, Zelina actually got knocked down to the ground. So then basically the two kept going on each other. Garza got KO alone. Owens was able to fight out of the wing clipper and hit a stunner, but actually after Owens hit the stunner, Andrade comes out. He throws Owens to the side and actually pins his partner to get the win and become the #1 contender for the U.S. Championship. So we'll be getting another match between Apollo Crews and Andrade at Backlash. I feel like, you know, the only reason why they're giving us this match is they don't really have enough time to build, because I would actually like to see an Apollo Crews versus Angel Garza feud. I would not even mind Garza becoming the United States champion. You know, I like, you guys know I like Garza a lot, you know. So I feel like since we've already seen Crews versus Andrade happen multiple times, and they've had really good matches over the last couple months, why not give it to us one last time? I would be really surprised if they gave the title back to Andrade, because first off, it would be a slap in the face to Apollo after everything he's done to finally get to this point. But I really do hope, I'm pretty confident that Apollo will win here, you know, and they're only doing this match because they don't really have time to build towards something else. I wouldn't mind seeing KO versus Apollo again. Maybe we'll see that next week on Raw, you know, because we never got to see the finish of that match after Andrade and Garza interfered last week. But Andrade is the new United States Championship #1 contender. He's probably going to lose at Backlash, but we'll deal with that this Sunday. But the match was good. And hopefully they continue to build up the United States Championship. Like I said, WWE has main roster and mid card full of talent. So it'd be a waste if they didn't use it. Next up, let's move on to the WWE Championship. So we had Drew McIntyre. He did a backstage segment with the Viking Raiders, basically saying after the Viking Raiders get the job done between Bobby Lashley and MVP, we're going to have a post-match party where there'll be turkey legs, which got the Viking Raiders excited. So basically we come out, we have the MVP lounge, and basically MVP was getting ready to introduce Bobby Lashley. But basically everything he said about Bobby could have been said about Drew McIntyre as well, without stating names, of course. So Drew came out, interrupted MVP, and basically said, "Oh, thank you for the kind words." And then he was making fun of MVP, threatening to hit him with a Claymore kick, you know, multiple times. MVP said that he cannot wait to see Lashley become WWE champion this Sunday at Backlash. And then Drew was getting ready to hit MVP with a Claymore. He actually gave a countdown. He says, I'm going to count down from 3. If you don't leave the ring, I'm going to hit you with a Claymore. So he count down. He said 3, 2, but then Lashley comes into the ring to interrupt McIntyre. MVP, and I like this, MVP goes like, you didn't say 1. And then McIntyre decides to ignore MVP, but then he goes up into Lashley's face. I wish Lashley would say more. I really do. I hate this. It reminds me too much of TNA when Lashley was the TNA champion. In TNA, MVP would do all the talking. Like, it would be nice to hear Lashley talk a little bit. Even though Lashley doesn't have charisma and he's not that good on the mic, still, a couple words. He could be like Brock Lesnar and only say a couple words here and there. You know what I mean? But, basically, McIntyre, and I like the intensity. A couple of things I want to take note of. It was reported Jinder Mahal had surgery, and WWE was planning on turning Jinder babyface, which made no sense in my opinion. Even though you guys know I can't stand Jinder Mahal. They were planning on having Jinder Mahal and McIntyre feud into the summer. But Mahal has another injury, and he's going to be out for most of the rest of the year, so WWE has to change plans. So it was also revealed that WWE is planning on having Lashley versus McIntyre last through most, if not the rest of the summer. WWE wants to do 2 or 3 matches between these two. And like I've been saying, I'm not saying Lashley versus McIntyre isn't going to be a good match. All right, I feel like it could be a very good match. Really good, you know, if they let these two go. But the story itself is just not there for me. It really isn't. But I don't know what WWE's going to do here. If WWE really wants to do Lashley versus McIntyre for 2-3 months, the only way they can really do that is making Lashley champion. And it's not that I'm against Bobby Lashley becoming WWE champion, but as you guys know, I've become a huge Drew McIntyre fan this year. I love what he's been doing. I feel like he's been booked very, very good as WWE champion. And WWE almost always fucks up on babyface champions. McIntyre is one of the outliers. All right. It's also been revealed that Brock Lesnar will be coming back to WWE before SummerSlam, which is really no surprise, you know, especially when we're in this pandemic situation. It would make sense for, you know, Lesnar to only be used for big moments. So I've been saying here, we never really got it, you know, that big match between Lesnar and McIntyre from WrestleMania. We've also been waiting for the Lesnar versus Lashley dream match for 13 years now. So maybe, I'm not saying this is a solution, but if you really want, you know, to have Lashley and McIntyre continue, this will, you know, there's a couple ways you can go about this. A couple ways. Maybe you have, and you guys know I hate fuck finishes, but maybe you can do something that keeps Lashley in the title picture. Maybe some kind of fuck finish, or, you know, a controversy, something like that, you know. Maybe McIntyre pins Lashley, but Lashley's foot was on the rope and the ref didn't see it. And that leads to another match between the two. I don't know. But if you want to keep this going without having to give the title to Lashley, because like I said, McIntyre should hold that title for almost the entire year. They should build somebody up to take that title from him, probably at WrestleMania next year, some kind of heel. Because McIntyre is doing great right now. And honestly, McIntyre should be built to be the new face of the company. All right, because he's doing fantastic work right now as a babyface. Fantastic work. If you want, you could do something and give us Lashley versus McIntyre versus Lesnar at SummerSlam. I think that would be a damn good match. Possibly main event. Even though I've been saying Sasha Banks and Bayley should be the main event at SummerSlam, if that happens, I would not mind us getting Lesnar versus Lashley versus McIntyre for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. I would not mind that at all. All right, I feel like there's a lot of potential in there. So we'll see where this all goes, but I wanted to talk about that real quick since we were talking about. So then we get the Street Profits come to ringside. We have McIntyre. He takes a chair. He sits at ringside as we get the Viking Raiders versus MVP and Lashley. And this went on for a while. This went deep into the 10 o'clock hour, the third hour. There was also a point, I hated this. During the match, we see Charlie Caruso interviewing Lana. And Charlie asked Lana why does she decide to sit backstage during Lashley's matches, and because she said she wanted to be selfless for her husband, but she also said that she wanted to make 2020 the year of Lana. Even though Lana is terrible, I still don't understand why WWE decided to give her a 5-year contract. She probably should have been released with Rusev, if we're all being honest. But it's whatever. But I knew that the Viking Raiders probably were going to win this here, because you're not going to have Lashley look weak 6 days before his WWE Championship match with McIntyre. But he was able to make Eric tap out with the full Nelson. And then after the match, we see him put Ivar into the full Nelson. The Street Profits tried to, tug Lashley off of Eric, but out of nowhere, McIntyre hits him with a devastating Claymore, which looked really cool. I actually really like that a lot. I love the Claymore kick, one of my favorite moves in WWE. But, McIntyre gets a little bit of payback on Lashley for the full Nelson last week, building some momentum for the match next week at Backlash. But another thing that happened is right after Lashley took the Claymore kick, it wasn't able to hold him down. He just rolled out to the ring and he was stunned, but he was able to stand on his 2 feet. So McIntyre is just screaming at Lashley like, you better be ready this Sunday. It's going to not be a battle. It's not going to be a match. It's going to be a war. So I expect Lashley and McIntyre to put on a really good match this weekend at Backlash, and I cannot wait to talk about it here on the Backlash review. So we'll see what happens here, but it looks like this is just the start of Lashley versus McIntyre. So closing off the show, we had Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. And like I said earlier, it just pissed me off because this is so lazy. First of all, Charlotte shouldn't be nowhere near the Raw Women's Championship, especially when she just had an NXT Women's Championship match last night at In Your House. All right. Also, I didn't mind it, this main event of the show, but we just had Asuka versus Charlotte Flair last week. This is stuff that I hate about WWE. They definitely saw on social media how everyone was talking because Asuka and Charlotte Flair had a really good match last week, a really good match. But this was honestly just a rinse and repeat. This was the same match as last week. Only things that were different here is Sasha Banks and Bayley came out because they wanted to be on commentary, which I did not mind because, I love seeing Sasha Banks. And Sasha had an amazing outfit at ringside. And that title looks so good with her outfit. We also had the Iconics. They were at ringside, but they were behind the plexiglass. During the match itself, we see the Iconics. They were able to sneak attack Sasha Banks and Bayley, and they threw Sasha into a plexiglass, but it looked like Sasha was laughing. All right, and then they also did a double team move on Bayley on the announce table. We went to break. It was announced that Sasha Banks and Bayley and the Iconics had been barred from ringside for the rest of the match. I didn't mind this at all because they're trying to build up the Iconics. I personally think Sasha Banks and Bayley are going to retain this Sunday at Backlash. I would be a little pissed off if they didn't, because to see Sasha get like a 9-day title reign would get me angry. Even though we all want to see Sasha Banks and Bayley in a singles feud at SummerSlam. But we'll just have to wait and see where this all goes. But I expect Sasha Banks and Bayley to retain this Sunday at Backlash, so I didn't really mind this. And typically when WWE has a superstar go over, before pay-per-view, that typically means that they're going to lose at the pay-per-view itself. So it's whatever. There was also a point where, and I already ranted on this earlier when, Charlotte said in that interview that she elevated the NXT Women's Division. Asuka came out and, interrupted the interview, and Charlotte said to Asuka, "Do you ever take anything serious?" And Asuka bitch slapped the hell out of Charlotte, which I had no problem because Charlotte sucks and she deserves it for saying such hypocritical bullshit. But back to the match itself. The match wasn't bad. My problem is this was the exact same match we saw last week on Raw. The exact same. And the ending was the same as well, which was the worst part. Raw wasn't even that bad tonight, but this ending was terrible. Everything Charlotte, Charlotte threw everything at Asuka. Asuka kicked out of everything. And it looked like Asuka was about to get the victory, and this was big for Asuka because this would finally be her first victory over Charlotte Flair. But Nia Jax ran down and interrupted the match just like she did last week. So this distraction caused Charlotte to be able to hit the big boot and get the 3 count on Asuka. So Charlotte gets another victory over Asuka. All right, and people are going to say, "Oh, it doesn't matter because there was an interference there, by Nia Jax, so Asuka doesn't look that bad." But please, in the record book, it states that Charlotte defeats Asuka again. And the next time we have a, Charlotte versus Asuka confrontation, like I told you, Charlotte Flair, she's not winning the NXT Women's Championship back. She's going to lose to Io Shirai whenever they have their match. What Charlotte Flair should be doing right now, she should lose to Io Shirai. Then she should have another match with Rhea Ripley, to be honest, because Rhea Ripley deserves to get her win back. She deserves to get her win back over Charlotte. So that gets Charlotte finally off of NXT, gone for good. And then what's going to happen is I would have Charlotte Flair start a program with Bianca Belair. Build up Bianca Belair, because honestly, what they should do with Asuka is they should have Asuka defeat Nia Jax, which should happen at Backlash. Then have Asuka go up against Shayna Baszler. And then build up Bianca Belair, potentially at SummerSlam or somewhere near the end of the year. Have Asuka drop that title to Bianca Belair. Charlotte should be elevating other stars, not elevating herself. She's had enough title reigns. All right? And I don't want to get angry like I did earlier in the podcast. I'm trying to stay objective. She's had enough title reigns. It's time for her to actually build people up. You know why people don't complain about Sasha Banks? It's because Sasha is always putting people over. She put over Tamina. She put over Lacey Evans. She put up over the freaking Riot Squad in Absolution. How many times has Sasha Banks put over stars? That's why I'm always complaining about Sasha Banks not getting enough opportunities. Charlotte Flair has constantly buried everybody in the women's division. Everybody. It's time for her to actually elevate somebody for a change. It's ridiculous. She's not even in a match this Sunday at Backlash, but you have her beating Asuka. I'm telling you, once this is all over, we're going to get Charlotte Flair versus Asuka, no matter if it's at Extreme Rules or another pay-per-view. And if they give Charlotte a 13 title, championship victory, I'm going to lose my mind. Because it's the same rinse and repeat garbage. All right? It's time for Charlotte to actually put other superstars over for a change. Enough is enough with Charlotte Flair. I hated this ending. This was the same shit we saw last week. And it's terrible. It's rinse and repeat. Becky's not there. Use this time to elevate other people. Charlotte does not need to be elevated any more than she already has. It's ridiculous and it's garbage at the end of the day. Afterwards, Nia Jax laid out the Empress with a Samoan drop. So most likely, Asuka's going to get her win back by defeating Nia at Backlash. I don't see Nia winning. None of us want to see Nia as champion. You guys know how I feel about Nia. Nia should not even be on WWE TV. She is garbage. She is legit garbage. I just pray that Nia doesn't injure Asuka and force Asuka to have to vacate the Raw Women's Championship at Backlash. I pray, but we'll see. But other than that, guys, tonight Raw wasn't terrible. It wasn't anything special, but Sasha Banks being on the show, the Edge and Kristen segment, we had some pretty good in-ring action. The show wasn't terrible today. It wasn't terrible. I didn't hate it the way I usually hate Monday Night Raw. But let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of Raw tonight. That's about all I got for you guys tonight on the Legit Shoot podcast. Thank you guys for joining me. As always, you guys are amazing. No matter if you're listening on Spotify or Google Podcasts, no matter if you guys were here for the live stream, no matter if you guys are watching on demand, thank you guys for joining me here tonight. I appreciate the love and support. If you guys didn't check out my NXT TAKEOVER in Your House review, that is live on the channel. I'll be back here later this week with SmackDown and the Backlash predictions. And Sunday night, I'll be right back here with the Backlash review live here on the Legit Shoot podcast. Thank you guys for the love and support. Like, comment, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, enable notifications by clicking the bell next to my name, Fitz TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Make sure to follow me on social media if you guys want to talk wrestling, anime, anything like that. My link is in the description down below. GLorin33 on Twitter, GLORIN33. Thank you guys for everything once again. Keep staying safe and healthy. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night, everyone. Peace.